Well, guys, you'll be happy to know, for those of you that have been following the live comms on a daily basis, you'll be happy to know that our hot water has been fixed. What a nightmare, though. What a nightmare me and my grandmother had to go through. So for anybody, let me tell the story. For anybody that doesn't know, I recently moved in with my grandmother to help her out because she is suffering from cancer and just needs somebody to help her out in case of an emergency. So having said that, shortly after I moved in, the hot water stopped working. Starting from the beginning with this story. And my grandmother, I can take a cold shower, but my grandmother can't be asked to take a cold shower. She's too sick to handle that. It's too much for her. She's already cold all the time, even if it's like 90 degrees, you know? So having her take a cold shower is not good. Not good at all. It just does not work for her. So I immediately, since I'm in a different city than where I normally live, you know, I didn't call the regular plumber that I've called before. I looked up the best rated plumbing company in the area, and I called them and scheduled them to come out. Now, I figured they were going to tell me that I needed a new hot water heater, because the current hot water heater, no joke, 20 years old. About 19. We'll just call it 20. 20-year-old water heater. So obviously we are going to need a new one. So I was ready for that, you know. And of course, that's what they said when they came out. They said, your water heater is very old. Lots of sediment has built up. It's not working right anymore. You're going to need a new hot water heater. So I kind of said, duh. Well, go ahead and put one in. And cost about $1,200 for that. So that sucked, but it was something that needed to be done. So they put the new hot water heater in. My grandma gets a shower the next day, and she says, the water's not hot. I said, what? I was kind of like thinking, that doesn't make sense. That's kind of crazy, because sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she gets confused and, you know, says things that don't make sense. So I tested the water myself, but she was totally right. Totally right. The water never got hot. It got lukewarm at best, which is definitely not good enough. Especially that we just got a new hot water heater. So I'm thinking maybe something's wrong. I don't know much about plumbing, but obviously there's got to be some kind of temperature controller here that governs how hot the water gets. So I called the plumbing company back and I say, hey, you guys just put a new hot water heater in, you billed us for it, but we don't have hot water. So they're like, whoa, okay, that's weird. We'll send somebody out. So they send somebody out the next day, and they're out here for like an hour and a half, two of them, and they take a look at everything, and they say, you know, there's something wrong. I don't know the exact terminology, but some part of the hot water heater that reads temperature, they said wasn't working right. So they replaced that part for free. They left. And the next day, we still don't have hot water. Same problem. It's just lukewarm. So I call them up again, and I'm like, look, you guys charged me $1,200 for a new hot water heater. We got lukewarm water. I called you out again. We still have lukewarm water. So they come out again, and this time they say, it's your circuit breaker. Something's wrong with your circuit breaker. The hot water heater is turning on and off, and it's not heating the water properly. Call an electrician. Okay. So, called an electrician who came out and billed us a couple $100 to replace the circuit breaker. Like $180 or something like that. To replace the circuit breaker. So I'm like, cool. I'll give it a day. I know the hot water should heat up within an hour or less. It's brand new. But I'll give it a day. So give it a day. Guess what? Lukewarm water. So I called the plumbing company back. I'm like, you know what? I was being nice to them, but I let them know. I was like, I'm not happy about this. You know, my grandma can't get a shower. She's old. She's sick. She's not going to get a cold shower. I'm sick of getting cold showers. I'm not sure what I just paid for, but it's not working. So they're like, we don't know, but we'll send somebody out. So they send another guy out, a different guy this time than they've sent before, because the other guy, the other guy that had been coming out, he gave me his cell phone number, said, call me if you need anything, and then never answered any of my calls. So, yeah. So they send a totally different guy out, right? And he's out here for like 2 hours, and he goes, there is a water leak somewhere in this house. And it must be a big one, because what's happening, what the problem is that the water is flowing through the hot water heater so fast that it doesn't have a chance to heat up. And that's why the water is only lukewarm instead of anywhere close to what could be considered hot. So I'm like, okay, what do we do? They're like, we'll send some leak detection specialists out, figure out where the leak is. Keep in mind, we're 2 weeks now, almost 2 weeks without hot water. So the next day, these leak detection guys come out. They spend a couple hours, and they're like, we found the leak. We didn't pinpoint exactly where it is, but we have a general idea. You need to call a construction company and have them completely remove your grandmother's vanity/sink. Holy crap. Now we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. So obviously, I'm not trusting this plumbing company very much at this point, because every time they come out, they tell me it's something different. What if they're wrong about the leak? I don't want to spend thousands of dollars in construction to fix a leak that might not even be the problem. So I call up another plumbing company that is highly recommended from my dad. Told me that it's the plumber that he uses, highly recommended. So I call them up, and I have them come out, and I tell them the story, and I say, you know what? I just don't trust what this other plumbing company is telling me. Every time they come out here, they tell me it's something different. So I don't want to spend thousands of dollars in construction to remove the sink/vanity without getting a second opinion from another plumber. Well, unfortunately, they did confirm that there was a big leak. That has been the problem all along. And that is probably what broke the old hot water heater. So I'm like, okay. So we get the insurance company involved, since now we're talking, this is going to be very expensive. We get the insurance company involved, and they say they'll cover the removal of the vanity and sink, but they won't cover fixing the leak, which is pretty normal, I think. So we schedule everything with the insurance company, and they send out a leak detection specialist to verify that there is a leak. He finds the leak, and he marks exactly where the leak is inside the vanity. Now, I didn't know this. I did not know this. I'm just trusting that they know how to do their job, and they will do their job. So he marks where the leak is for the plumber inside the vanity. And then the next people that come out from the insurance company, guess what they do? They remove the vanity, so there's no more mark where the leak is. Now, I had no idea this was happening. You know, I did not know. So then, after the vanity is removed, and we wait 2 days for everything to dry in there after the construction that they did. We wait a couple days, and we call the plumber out. The plumber comes out, and this is the good plumber that I called, not the first ones that kept telling me it was something different every single time. The plumber comes out, and he says, there's no mark where the leak is. And I said, well, how can that be? The insurance company leak detection guy came out, and the other plumbing company leak detection guys came out. You're telling me nobody marked where this leak is? And he's like, no, I'm sorry. He's like, I don't want to jackhammer your entire floor, you know, to find this leak. You're going to have to call another leak detection specialist. So I have to spend $250 of my own money to call a third leak detection specialist out to mark where the leak was, because the one they sent from the insurance company marked it in the vanity and then removed the vanity. So you can understand my frustration at this point. I'm like, man, what is going on here, you know? What is actually going on here? So I pay for another leak detection specialist to come out. And fix or not fixed, to come out and mark where the leak is. And that's supposedly already been done twice, you know. So now that the leak is marked, we call the plumber back out, and he jackhammers the floor and finally fixes the hot water. Finally fixes the hot water. So we actually have hot water now. And the only thing that we're currently waiting on is for them to come back and put my grandma's sink and vanity back together. That's it. And then we should be done with this nightmare. But at least we have hot water for now, which is the important thing for my grandmother. So that is my nightmare story. And this whole thing took about a month and a half. If you're wondering what the timeline was, it's about a month and a half. Well, maybe about a month and a week that we had to go without hot water. No, actually, it was about a month. It was about 6 weeks. About 6 weeks of craziness that we had to go without the hot water. So now we're just waiting for them to come back and put the sink vanity, do the construction work to put that back together. All in all, it did cost several $1,000s to get the leak fixed. The insurance company my grandma's with has a $1,000 deductible, so that'll still have to be paid. Not that I'm complaining about it, you know, I just wanted the damn hot water to be fixed for her. Because it's ridiculous, her already being so sick, that she should have to suffer through this. And the incompetence of all these companies was just ridiculous, you know? Crazy amount of incompetence with these companies. That first plumbing company I called, I would never recommend to anyone, because it took them about 3 weeks after installing our hot water heater just to figure out why we weren't getting hot water. And that was just awful. And a perfect ending for the story. Waiting for that guy, but he somehow already knew I was there. I don't know how he knew I was there, but he knew. Let's watch the death cam and find out. Now, I wasn't moving. I wasn't making any noise, so I'm wondering how this guy knew exactly where I was. Unless he just took a different route and saw... Yep, he just took a different route and saw me sitting there. That's what it was. Well, that's how it goes in PUBG sometimes, guys. GG, that's my plumbing nightmare story, and that was our first match.